Hi, everyone. I'd like to welcome everyone this evening to Pacific College of Health and Sciences Hot Topic Series. This edition is titled Warm Hands, Taking the Temperature of the Massage Therapy Field During the Pandemic with Eric Stephenson, hosted by me, Kira Nagel. For those of you who don't know me, I've been a teacher since 2001, but a few years after that, I went back to school at night to become a massage therapist and have been in this field for over a dozen years. I've been working at Pacific College, New York since 2011 and serving as the director of the Asian Holistic Health and Massage Therapy program for the last several years. For those of you who are not familiar with our esteemed guest, Eric Stephenson is a 20-year massage veteran and Chief Wellness Officer for Elements Massage, a 250-unit franchise system headquartered in Denver, Colorado. He's also co-founder of iMassage Incorporated in Delray Beach, Florida, an education and consulting company dedicated to extending the careers of massage therapists and spa practitioners through customized continuing education. In 2014, Eric joined the board of directors of the International Spa Association in Lexington, Kentucky, also known as ISPA. And his experience as an entrepreneur, consultant, and speaker in the wellness industry have taken him around the world. In his spare time, he works on becoming the newest member of the Foo Fighters. And I'm privileged to say that I got to learn from Eric towards the end of my massage program, and again a few years ago at an AMTA New York convention. And he has influenced my work deeply. Deeply is a massage pun. Not only as a massage therapist, though, I did learn valuable effort saving biomechanical skills from him that I have passed on to my own students along the way. But he also influenced me as an educator, modeling how to use humor appropriately as a teaching tool, how to connect with your audience, whether it's an audience of one, such as with a client, or a larger group, such as a class or this event we have tonight. Whenever I'm connecting with a client and I'm working and I kind of get head down and lost in the details, I hear his voice in my head saying, "There's nothing to see here, folks. See with your hands, keep your eyes on the road." And I just immediately self-correct my body mechanics. And I'm just here to say that good teachers, like good songs, get into your head like that. And aside from both being musicians, another thing that Eric and Dave Grohl from the Foo Fighters have in common is that they are both very supportive of having plans for how to minimize risk during the pandemic. You may have read Dave's article in The Atlantic about having a safety plan for teachers. Eric was at the forefront of establishing new massage therapy pandemic protocols and worked with Elements Massage Safety Committee to build safety standards, client reassurances, and personal connection during this time of isolation. And the results? With more than 750,000 massages given in their 250 clinics since May 1st, Elements Massage has a 0.01% COVID-19 positive connection rate with their studios and zero outbreaks at any studio to date. With an equally impressive outcome, albeit on a smaller scale, since September 8th at Pacific College, New York, 32 massage therapy interns have performed approximately 500 massages with zero positives and zero outbreaks. So without further ado, on behalf of our Pacific community, I'd like to welcome Eric to this important conversation and thank him for sharing his time and perspective with us. So welcome, Eric.
Thanks, Kara. What an introduction. Wow. Thank you so much. It's really cool to be here, and I want to really welcome everyone that's watching from California all the way to the East Coast. It's really dark here on the East Coast now, and it's getting towards winter, but it's really cool to be here, and I know that we'll have a great time talking about some massage-related topics tonight.
Okay, great. Thanks. So let's get to some of the hot topic burning questions we've compiled. And for the folks who are live with us now, you will be able to put your questions into the chat and we'll take some of those towards the end of our time with Eric tonight. So our first question is regarding COVID concerns. What can massage therapists do to create an environment with minimized risk for their clients, and what resources should they refer to?
It's a great question. And certainly all of us that are therapists, whether you're in school right now or you're out practicing, you know that safety and trust really has always been at the crux of the therapeutic relationship. So we've always been concerned with universal precautions, sanitation measures. So really, it's just an enhancement of that. And as everyone knows, early on, we just didn't have a lot of information. We were sort of guessing. Now we're months down the road. And as you said, at Elements Massage, we had an internal safety committee that sort of scrubbed through every little part of the client experience. And that was from the moment the client's car hit the parking lot until the moment they left the studio, and could even include the phone call as well, as in terms of screening questions and questions to ask the client. And it also meant the employees as well, right? So we had to make sure that safety really became a non-negotiable. And I think that that's the main message for everybody out there, is that in this current environment, safety truly is a non-negotiable. I mean, you have to take into account every single little thing that could potentially keep you safe, keep the people that you work with safe, and then also all of your clientele. So I was involved heavily with Elements Massage, of course, as you noted, Kira, putting forth the safety and sanitation protocols, which have served us really, really well. And I also was on the task force for the Federation of State Massage Therapy Boards that put out their guidelines for back to practice. And so if any of the listeners want a resource, that's really a fabulous one to go to. It was comprised of a lot of industry experts, and we consulted everything from the CDC guidelines to the OSHA guidelines. We consulted professional associations, outside medical experts, and put all that information together and really kept current with what was going on, because as you know, the situation can change. I mean, daily, weekly, new information comes out, but it's really about committing to it, committing to being safe, and making sure that you use all the resources that you have around you to look at every point of your client experience and make sure that you're doing things optimally.
Yeah, that is a great resource, and that's definitely something that I and the Pacific team referred to. It was available even before our New York State guidelines were available, so it was great to have access to that resource in our planning process. So the second question kind of builds out of the first one. What is your advice for a massage therapist who's just starting out in the field right now, given the dual challenges of negotiating COVID and becoming a new therapist newly in practice?
Wow, what an exciting time to be entering the massage field, right? So I think this is a great time for everyone on the call. And I was thinking about this last week too. During the last 6 to 9 months, it's really been an opportunity for me personally to get back in touch with my mission in life. So my mission in life, who do I want to be? What do I want to do? What am I doing? What impact do I want to have? And then seeing that through the lens of massage therapist, massage educator, the chief wellness officer for Elements Massage, it's coming back to your mission. And so if I asked you, or if I ask some of the listeners, what is your higher purpose for doing massage? I mean, obviously, all of us want to make a living, right? We have to pay our bills, but there's some reason that you're doing what you're doing. And I think that this is a really great time to really get in touch with what that mission is. I think back to being a student, and I think about the fact that I never thought I'd be in this profession for more than a couple of years. I honestly didn't. And I tell people all the time, how did you get into massage? Why did you choose massage? And I say, I don't think I chose massage. Massage chose me. And a lot of us can identify with that. I mean, we got into this profession to help people, to contribute to the world, to help people get out of pain, suffering. And ultimately, this time has been probably the most poignant time in my career to take a step back and say, who am I? What's my mission in the world? And how is that really being manifest? Not just the years I've been in the profession, but what's that going to look like going forward as well? And so I never thought I'd see a world where touch was not allowed. And for a brief time, that happened. But all of you that are coming into the profession, it's really going to be an amazing time, not only during this, to continue to serve clients that need it with pain, anxiety, depression, everything that we're seeing. But going forward, man, I know that we'll probably talk about this a little bit as the conversation goes on, but massage therapy is getting ready to make some shifts and changes and hopefully have a large place in the mosaic of people's self-care and well-being going forward.
For sure. In our New York State guidelines, as things are being redefined for potential, second round of shutdowns, medical massage has now been included. It was not included in the first round. So that was, a good sign for us in New York that we are being considered essential with other healthcare practitioners. And I think, there is, for some folks who never imagined, wearing scrubs or personal protective equipment as part of their identity as a massage therapist, there may be some cognitive dissonance and kind of envisioning the visual of that for yourself as newly in practice. But I actually think the folks who are finishing up school during this time and are entering practice, in the beginning of next year, are going to be best suited because they don't have to change. They don't have to go from the old way to the new way. They're just entering the world in this new way. So in one way, that's an advantage. Just an offshoot of that question before I go on to the next one. What do you think right now the specific advantages are with working for yourself versus working for someone else as a massage therapist?
Yeah, so certainly they're very different in many ways. So there's advantages and disadvantages to both. And, I can say personally that I've done just about everything, right? I've worked for others. I've worked in massage studios. I've worked in spas. I worked for a chiropractor. I worked in private practice. And I think it's just really finding out what's important to you. So many times, we think about a job and we sort of go out and look for a job, and then we have to fit our life to the job. What I encourage, especially new therapists coming into the profession, it's like, what do you want your life to look like? What's important to you? How would you prioritize your life? And then find a job, find a situation that actually fits into your life. And so certainly in private practice, you call the shots, you're in charge of everything. And a lot of times you have to outlay a big sum of money when you start to get your lease secured. You have to get your materials, you have to get your marketing, you have to get your website. And for some people that works out really well. I can say that after years of teaching massage school, I always recommended that people went out and worked for someone first to go out and get your hands on clients and get a couple thousand massages underneath your belt so that you can really figure out, what you want to do, where you thrive. A lot of people thrive in a sole practice because they may be more introverted and they don't have the group interaction, but extroverted people gravitate more towards working in a studio with big teams, and eventually they'll call them family, or my coworkers that I love. So there's all sorts of things. And as a private practitioner, you can choose your rates, you can choose how many clients you're going to see in a day. And certainly on the other end of that, sometimes I'd have to wake up at 11 o'clock at night and go, I've got no clean sheets for tomorrow. I'm not going to walk into a studio where someone's done all of my sheets. Now, on the flip side, if you work for someone and you work in a situation where you're an employee or an independent contractor, a lot of those things are taken care of, from booking the appointments to having all of the resources. I know at Elements Massage, you basically walk in, you do what you love, you work in a great environment, and then, you go home. And so you don't have to think about all of those things that go into building a practice. But certainly it's not a one size fit all. And I encourage people just getting into the profession to go out and really tour a lot of different places. Go in, see what it feels like. Talk to the manager, talk to the owner, talk to the people that work there, and you'll get a feeling that yes, this is my space, or no, I don't think this is going to work for me. And certainly having a lot of varied experience, especially early in your career, is valuable in terms of going and touring places and talking to different places of employment.
Yeah, go be a client
Yes,
if you
go be a
can, if
client.
that's accessible to you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So this is kind of a broader view in a similar vein, but what do you think the biggest hurdle we're facing will be in the next few years of massage therapy practice as we look at our field through the lens of the pandemic? And also, what will be the biggest joy?
Hmm. One of the biggest issues that I see coming out of the pandemic is people really being um, averse to contact, right? And so we've got a big fan base of people that receive massage. Probably about 20% of the American public receives massage. Even during the pandemic, we've seen demand be really high for massage. But think about a world where we've been socially isolating and we've been social distancing, physical distancing, as it were. So what really concerns me, especially with younger children, is just them seeing someone and naturally sort of going away from that person. I think that touch can be a wonderful way to mitigate that. And certainly going forward, that's going to be one of our biggest hurdles to get over mentally, is that it's okay to sort of congregate in spaces again. Getting people interested in the career of massage is another big hurdle for us. So in many places, the client demand for massage services actually exceeds the supply of massage therapists that can deliver it. And so I think that it's really a call to action for all of us, whether you've been in the field for 25 years, whether you're teaching massage school like you are, Kira, or whether you are just entering the profession. We have to get the word out about what a great career this is. There's so many people that will sit at their desk tomorrow or go to their job tomorrow, and they simply aren't happy. And you spend a third of your life at work. So if they know that there are careers out there like massage therapy, where you can contribute to the world in such a great way. I mean, the higher purpose behind our work is incredible. I mean, you're able to have a lot of flexibility. You're able to continually learn. You're around health and wellness. And I think the more that people understand what's out there in terms of the employment options for massage therapy, then we can begin to attract more people to the profession. And I really see that as being one of our biggest hurdles outside of sort of this world that we're in right now, about maybe a little bit of fear around touch. But what you shared, initially, is that massage is a safe proposition. We've done 750,000 massages at Elements. And as you shared, we've had very, very few cases, and those cases weren't necessarily attached to the studio. That just meant someone had a positive case of COVID. So we're really not seeing any transmission in our studios. And so that's really good news for now into the foreseeable future as well.
Agreed. I always tell my students 50% of our job is hands-on doing massage, and 50% of our job is talking about massage to anyone who will listen, pretty much, right? So that we gain future clients, and also, that it is really a therapist market in terms of, being able to choose the kind of job you want, because, we need more therapists to fill those roles. So, yeah. What is the biggest joy?
So the biggest joy, I feel like, is going to be putting massage up where it belongs, again, in the mosaic of self-care. So I think a lot of times people turn to massage as sort of a reactionary event. I got injured. I've got a pain here. I should have gotten a massage 6 months ago, but the stress has accumulated. My headaches have accumulated. So one of my greatest hopes is that massage really takes its place as a preventative measure, and that people start to see that taking an hour a week or a month is a huge part of their self-care. And I think that as we begin to see people be concerned about their preventative health and preventing some of the conditions that can cause one to become ill, that we'll see the demand for massage go up, as well as the efficacy for our sessions go up as well. I mean, I think that ultimately massage is best used as a preventative measure, and that it can do wonderful things when someone's injured. But ultimately, if I can work with somebody and work with the ability to get them stronger and stronger and stronger, more resilient, then hopefully they can avoid injury, they can avoid accumulated stress. And the other big thing that I get really excited about is the ability for massage to assist people with their mental health. And there's a meta-analysis of massage and mental health, really showing that we know that this really helps for people suffering from anxiety and depression. So the holistic wellness, the emotional wellness component of it, I think massage has a lot to offer. And certainly coming out of the pandemic, we're going to see a bit of a tidal wave with a mental health crisis. It's really already happening. And people are coming in because they are touch deprived, their mood is off, their stress level is off the chart, their anxiety level and their uncertainty is all there. We've all experienced it over the last 6 to 9 months, and that's one of the silver linings here.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there will also be the opportunity to work with this whole new population that are the folks who are survivors of COVID, and some of whom have these long haul symptoms that, could really benefit from massage after proper screening and all of that. But I think that'll be interesting in terms of case studies and to see how massage can help folks who are survivors. So kind of shifting gears a little bit with the next question, but how do you define leadership in the field of massage therapy, and what are some important leadership qualities as a massage therapist or a massage therapy business owner / employer?
Yeah, so for me, leadership is really fostering the highest expression from yourself and everyone around you. It's really developing full human beingness in those that you are working with and around. And a lot of times, I think the temptation is to say or dictate what leadership is. But in my experience, it's really leading by example. And so when I think about leadership, I think about things like showing up as an emotionally consistent adult. That's a big one. Just showing up in general when everyone else doesn't, being on time, being true to your word, being accountable. And the longer I go on in my career, and I've had to work at this one, it's really accepting constructive feedback. And so even leaders, should be able to put themselves in a humble position and say, I could be better. What is that part of me that I'm really not acknowledging? And how can I seek to build that? A lot of times that's not easy. The older we get and the more successful we get. But when I think about leadership, it really is looking at everyone around you and saying, how can I bring out the highest expression of who you are and what you want out of life, your goals?
Yeah, I really appreciate that answer and aspire to that kind of leadership as well, creating a congruence with the folks that you're leading and being in a team together, I think is important. So thank you for that. The next question relates a bit, but is an important, on another important theme from this year. How do you think we can work better towards the goals of equity, diversity, and inclusion in the field of massage therapy?
So diversity, equity, and inclusion are a hot topic right now. And I think that first, it's just acknowledging that we don't know what we don't know. One of my favorite sayings from Moshe Feldenkrais is, you can't change what you're doing until you know what you're doing. So I simply think that having the conversation, again, coming back to the idea that I really need to educate myself about diversity. You know, what is diversity? How does that differ from inclusion? And it's interesting because at WellBiz, the parent company of Elements Massage, we just had a big diversity, equity, and inclusion presentation and education session a couple weeks ago. And, you know, I sat in the presentation and I was really proud that our company invested in that, you know, acknowledged that we need training in that, and that brought in an expert to help us with that. And I took, you know, 2 pages of notes. And it really fascinated me because we all have unconscious bias. We all have the tendency to stereotype. And so it's becoming aware of that. And again, you really can't change something until you're even aware of it. So, you know, diversity is basically who we are as a profession, right? But inclusion is, do we actually help people feel honored and heard within the profession? So I think that there's some conversations that we can have that are meaningful within our profession to say, how diverse are we? Who are we? And then how can we, again, spread that message about massage being a great career? What do we need to look for just in terms of, you know, social identities, inequalities, and seek to address those through education, training, and again, awareness.
Yeah, for sure. I think it ties in with the idea of leadership in that, you know, these are important things for folks who are in positions of leadership and privilege to be aware of and to make the moves towards. So, you know, opening up conversations even within the history of massage about cultural appropriation practices, you know, taking a technique or a type of massage from one place and then rebranding or renaming it and calling it something else. Just, you know, including that kind of information in our curriculum is a step, but hopefully there are some other things we can do, you know, in the field to create more opportunities for people to get involved in the
Yeah, I
work.
think the grassroots thing that we can do as massage therapists is really to go in and bring massage into underserved communities where maybe there isn't a massage clinic, where we're able to go in and do some chair massage and educate people in a short little bite, right? Maybe a 10-minute chair massage, talk a little bit about what massage therapy is, some of the benefits that are shown from research, right? The evidence-based benefits, and just have that conversation. I think visibility is a big thing.
Yeah, I'll just give a little plug for the Massage Therapy Foundation Community Service Grants on that note. I'm not sure how many people in the field are aware of those grants, and of course they are limited, but that is an opportunity for a massage therapist to work with a nonprofit organization that's already working with the community and work within that nonprofit's framework to provide massage to that population. So that could be a way for people to bring massage to a population that hasn't previously had access. And we
Yeah,
can, you know, put the link in the chat later for that.
I know that everyone at the Massage Therapy Foundation will appreciate that. I mean, it really is the research arm of our profession in the massage profession. So yeah, all the listeners, go to massagetherapyfoundation.org and check out all their free resources. You know, as Kara said, they have grants, and if you can send them $5 or $10 and contribute, that goes a long way towards advancing our profession with research.
Indeed. Yeah, so this is another one of your favorite topics. How can massage therapists create enduring careers in this field?
Wow, that's a big one. Yeah, I remember reading a statistic back in 2006, I believe it was, is that every year about 60,000 students went to massage school in the mid 2000s. And in 2006, of that 60,000 that entered the profession, about 50,000 left the profession. And when I read that statistic, it was so surprising and so jarring that it literally helped catapult me into my higher purpose behind starting my education and consulting company. I thought, how can I go out and teach therapists how to have enduring careers? And so fortunately, I went to a fantastic school called the Body Therapy Institute, and just outside of Chapel Hill, North Carolina. And I really learned all the core competencies that I needed to be successful. It was really an amazing school. And I would say that first and foremost, as a massage therapist, we have to learn how to be as present as possible. If I asked everybody out there, to raise their hand and say they've had a massage from a therapist that was not present before, everyone would raise their hands. And so in workshops, what I'll say is, and how many of you that went to that therapist that wasn't present would go back to see that therapist again? And, you might see one hand sort of go sideways and say, well, maybe I'd give them another chance. But the moral of the story is that if you're not present with somebody during a massage, they can feel it. It feels like a cookie cutter massage. It feels like you're just maybe rubbing lotion or oil on them. And there's really not a lot of joy in that for probably even the therapist, much less the client. So I think presence is the first thing. You have to have really keen presence, because that will help you with the next piece, which is your self-care as a massage therapist. Again, injury, burnout, huge problem in our profession. Emotional burnout is also a problem, but physical burnout is probably the biggest reason that people leave the massage profession. So once you're present, you're paying attention to what you're doing, then just, you eloquently described this during the intro. It's like that little voice in your head goes, what are you doing? Like, you can lift your head up, you can come back to some basic principles of biomechanics, ergonomics, and then you can self-correct, because we all know that it's not a good career strategy to go home and pop an Advil every night on the couch, and that's not going to get you very far. And so with being present, really focusing on your self-care, then you can learn how to deliver massage in a way that works for your body. We don't all have the same capabilities. Some of us have had trauma, injury, accidents, surgeries, and we have limitations, but there's always a way to work with your resources. And also remembering that massage is not just a physical endeavor, it's also an emotional, mental, spiritual event as well. So I think that taking care of ourselves is something that is of utmost importance. If you really want to last a long time in this profession, it has to be a dedicated practice to your own self-care.
Absolutely agree. And I think, the piece with presence too, just beyond the time in the treatment room, that presence is so important from the moment of connection with the client, like really listening during the intake so that you know what additional questions to ask to really help frame what the client's goal is going to be for today and for the long term. So you can, create that long-term treatment plan with them that keeps them in relationship with you so that they feel better, right? And so that you can continue to work with them and build these long-term relationships with clients. So
yeah, I'm really glad you brought that up, because what we found at Elements Massage really is that our client satisfaction scores have never been higher in the history of the company during a pandemic. So I watch this really closely, and I get to read all the client comments as they come in from all of the studios. And what I heard over and over again was, I really felt listened to. I felt heard. I felt seen. I felt like I got exactly what I asked for. And so that listening piece, again, it relates back to actually being present with somebody. If you're truly present during the intake, then you're picking up on things that you should probably mirror back to the client to ensure that what they said is what you actually heard. I had a massage recently where I went in and I looked right at the therapist during the intake and I said, here's what I would like. Here's what I would like you to focus on. And it didn't happen. In fact, during the middle of the massage, I tried to steer the therapist back towards what I had originally asked for, and it still didn't happen. Then I had a massage literally, I think 2 days ago, where I asked for something and I got exactly what I asked for. And I left there feeling like, wow, that was an incredible massage. So I do think that people want to be listened to now, probably more than ever. That's one of the things that we found too, is that people really want to talk. They want to get things off their chest. They want to get back to that professional recommendation that you give them as a massage therapist that can help show them how to get out of pain and stress and anxiety and everything that we're feeling right now. So yeah, that's utmost importance.
Yeah. Yeah, since we're kind of back to, talking about COVID a little bit and how that's changed the client experience, one of the questions that's coming from our live folks is, what have you found is the client's biggest concern about getting a massage during COVID, and how do you reassure them? And how do you talk to clients who are saying they won't get massaged during COVID?
Yeah. Well, everyone's coming from a different place, right? So what we do at Elements Massage is we communicate our safety and sanitation protocols. We communicate exactly what's going to happen. We help people with their exact questions. And so it's such a important thing to make sure that your messaging as a massage therapist is really reflecting that through your communications, whether it's your emails, whether it's through your website, whether it's through the phone call, that you're really clearly marking out exactly what's going to happen again when someone comes in to get a massage. And then, if you can share those safety and sanitation protocols in as much detail as they need to feel comfortable, that's the most important thing. I mean, everyone comes from a different situation, right? You have people that come from different households where maybe they have someone that might be a little bit more at risk or susceptible. So it's really an individual case. And again, back to listening, if you're truly listening to someone, you can hear in their voice and in their questions what their main concern is. And I would say that some of those concerns just went into, proximity. And is the therapist going to be wearing a mask? What is going to be, the protocol for checking into the studio? Am I going to be in a lobby with 5 or 10 other people? So it's really letting them know that all of those little pieces are taken care of, right down to temperature taking of clients, all the employees, and also the questionnaire from the CDC. So there's lots of pieces to that puzzle, but it's really listening and sort of keying in with some of those concerns that you're hearing on the phone or in person.
Absolutely. And someone's asking also, what was the name of your school in Chapel Hill?
It was called the Body Therapy Institute, and unfortunately the school sunsetted a few years ago, so it's no longer in existence, but it's near and dear here. It'll always be here. Yeah.
Okay, here's another one. We were talking about this a little when we were warming up about secret tricks. So what are some of your secret tricks in terms of, just working smart, not hard, or any little tips you want to share?
So one of the big tips that I would say to everybody is, especially coming out of school, a lot of times we get really obsessed with technique. We think we need more technique. We need to learn more anatomy, more physiology. And yes, to a point, that's true. But what we also need to learn are some of the experiential pieces, the soft skills a little bit better, some of the business skills a little bit better. And it's interesting because many times massage therapists won't invest in sort of furthering their career when it comes to those buckets, that professional development piece. They'll go right for the technique. And it's interesting because a lot of the research that I've read through is really pointing to the therapeutic relationship between the client as the therapist is really being responsible for the majority of the outcomes of a massage. So what does that really mean? That means the level of trust, the level of safety, right? The level of compassion, how good a listener the therapist is. And these things are really being shown to have a big impact on the results that the client gets. When I look through our client feedback at Elements Massage, again, I see things like, I feel so welcome here, feel listened to. The massage was exactly what I asked for. Very few people are saying, I love the way the therapist put their elbow into my rhomboids, or that technique they did on my scalenes was fantastic. For the experiential part, it really is cueing in on those pieces. And then, there are some tricks that you can employ. One is to make sure that you're not using your thumbs to do a lot of deep work. That's probably one of the biggest ones. So therapists will come up to me and say, Eric, I have a ganglion cyst right here, or I have pain in my rhomboids, or I don't think that I'm going to be able to get this numbness and tingling out of my brachial plexus. And I'll ask them, first question, do you do a lot of deep work with your thumbs? And they'll look at me and go, and I'll say, that's probably part of the problem. Your thumbs are great for palpation, but when it comes to actually using a tool, I don't do a lot of deep work with my thumbs. And I'm talking about deep vertical work through muscle and connective tissue. It's just not optimal for a therapist. So I would say that, really watching how you're using this resource. You only have one of these. And I remember early in my career, I did a bunch of deep work with my thumbs, and my arms just locked up about 6 months into my career. And I remember thinking to myself, okay, it's not a good proposition to have your arms lock up to where you can't work. So how am I going to mitigate this? And, fortunately, I had a lot of great mentors that helped me realize that not only were there some tricks that I could use, but using thumbs was not probably a good idea for me.
Agreed. Use all your tools.
Yeah, so everyone out there is probably going, well, what do you use? Like, how do you do it? It's just your forearms and elbows? No, it's not just your forearms and elbows. I mean, you can use everything from your open palm to your fingertips to, this tool called the fish hook that Rolfer would use, the second proximal knuckles. So there's all sorts of tools that you can use if you get creative. And, many times clients will say, is that your thumb you're using? And you say, actually, does it feel like my thumb? Well, it's actually not. And of course, that goes into really being conscious of the quality of the contact that you're using, no matter what tool you've got.
Yeah. So this is a good one. What continues to intrigue you about the field of massage or massage therapists or massage therapy clients?
Yeah, so one of the things that really intrigues me is where we're at right now. Again, I never envisioned a world where massage wasn't going to be allowed. And I do think that ultimately Mother Nature wants us to be in contact with each other, wants us to be in community. Touch is healing. It has been for, all time, and it will be in the future. So I'm really interested in the evolution of our profession. I'm interested in how we can work as a profession in a more united way, how we can come together, not just state by state, but as a whole community in the United States, and move forward so that if I, as a massage therapist, wanted to move to Nevada tomorrow, that I'd be able to practice within a reasonable amount of time without going through a bunch of different licenses for every different state. So I have hope going into the future for massage therapists that will get more portability between states. And I also would like to see us get a little bit more evidence-based and research-based with our claims. So when I went to massage school, there were all sorts of ideas about what massage could do, and some of them may be plausible, but they really aren't proven even to this day. And so I think it's really important
for us. Massage isn't a detox?
Right. I think it's really important for us to take responsibility for the research part of this and say, how can we do some really high quality research in the profession? And then how can we use that research to inform ourselves first? And then how can we use that research in our marketing claims and help inform our clients so that they can really make an informed choice when they're choosing massage therapy based on why they're choosing it. So I get excited about the profession going forward in terms of the ability to be evidence-based and to work closely with other healthcare providers to, again, be part of that mosaic of self-care and wellness for clients.
I agree. And I know that our faculty and students, know that that is a big part of our curriculum, that, we in the acupuncture program had another grant years ago to start incorporating evidence-based practice into that program. And so that got to trickle over to our program as well. And, it's been an effort at Pacific to do that for quite some time. And we definitely have faculty who, will give you the proverbial finger wag if you start to make claims that are not, evidence-based. So I'm getting some of the live questions here. Let's see. How much is CBD playing a role with massage therapy now? And is this something you would recommend?
Yeah, so CBD is probably one of the biggest trends I've seen in my massage career. So, the whole endocannabinoid system and the ability to actually deliver that topically has been a big push for the massage profession. And so I think that a lot of people see really great results with that. And again, I think it's sort of a personal, person by person basis thing. I work closely with our CBD provider for Elements Massage to do our herbal ritual massage, which includes CBD lotion in it. And, getting on the table and having expectations about being more relaxed or having less pain, for some people that's absolutely true, and for others it may be more of a cumulative thing, or they may not feel it at all. So it's really an individual endeavor when you go try any type of massage or any topical. But certainly it's endogenous. Your endocannabinoid system is endogenous, and putting it on your skin topically is something that we're really only in the first inning with. This has a long way to go. There's a lot more research that needs to be done on it, but some people are really seeing a lot of benefit from it, and it could be really the thing that unlocks the secret to their pain or their inability to relax, or other health conditions that they're attempting to mitigate.
Yeah, and it's very state by state in terms of what is allowed with that as well. So folks who are tuning in from all over should be checking into what's appropriate for their state. Another question that came in was from someone who's saying they currently work at a spa, and the expectation is to go back to the same number of sessions per shift as pre-COVID, and with the mask and the additional sanitizing, they are finding that difficult. So I can imagine it would be. I don't know what your response to that is.
Yeah. Early on in the pandemic, as we were putting together our safety and sanitation protocols at Elements Massage, I went and put a mask on and gave massage. And I wanted to see how difficult it would be. I tried on different types of masks. We really looked at the experience of that. And at the end of the day, even pre-pandemic, and we all have different capabilities. We all have different amounts of massage that we can give ethically and still feel like we can charge money for it. For some people, that's 3 massages a day. And they know exactly, if I give more than 3 sessions in a day, then the quality of my work really goes down. So now you're adding on the stress, the additional PPE that you have to wear depending on the state that you're in. And I think that it's really just communicating with your manager, your supervisor, getting them to understand what your concerns are, what the reality of your situation is. And in most cases, I find that managers, owners are willing to work with a therapist to get them to a place where it works, not just for the therapist, but also for the business needs as well, because certainly the business has needs. And in a worst case scenario, potentially a therapist might have to find a different place to work based on their needs really not matching up with the place that they're currently at. But I do believe that in the majority of cases, if that communication line is open, then that can be mitigated.
Yeah, and if it can't, as we were saying earlier, there's probably somewhere else where you can go work that's a better fit for you. and maybe for clients as well, if you know, they are not listening, if the business is not willing to listen. Another person asked, I'm curious, or sort of comment question, I'm curious about tips to create a massage experience that is soothing and pampering while still using masks and sanitation and PPE. And that's a little, related to what I was saying earlier in regards to trying to find this new identity if this wasn't how you envisioned the practice to be.
Yeah, so I would encourage everybody to look at, again, their whole client experience. And you can even do this, in the student clinic. Everything from the moment that you greet the client to the moment that they depart, there are touch points all along the experience. And at Elements Massage, we call this the service path. We know that if we don't check in about pressure in the first 5 minutes, then we've lost an opportunity to really develop that safety and trust with the client. We've lost an opportunity to customize their massage to their pressure level. And it's amazing, I can have a massage and 5 times out of 10, the therapist won't check in about pressure at all. And so how you design a soothing and relaxing massage, again, it goes back to so much more than long flowing effleurage strokes or any technique. But you can look at every part of the experience and say, how about the tone of my voice? What tone of voice am I going to use? What is the lighting? And honestly, what does my warm welcome look like? How am I greeting clients? How am I smiling with my eyes? Even if I have a mask on, we talk about that all the time. It's like, how do you smile through the mask? How do you use your body language to welcome somebody into a massage studio? And so I think that taking into consideration all the things that are technique, but then also all the experiential pieces that aren't technique, from the lighting in the room to the tone of your voice. And I had a massage recently where the therapist said to me, I'm sorry, but my hands are a little cold. And here I am laying on a warm massage table and my body's starting to relax. And then this therapist puts their hands on me and my whole sympathetic nervous system, my fight or flight nervous system presents. And so there's ways to mitigate that, right? The therapist could have taken some of the Himalayan salt stones that were close and held them, could have used a hot towel, some way so that when they put their hands on me, right, it was more in line with that warm massage table that I was laying on. And again, if we don't look at all these little things, they can eventually lead to a client potentially not returning. And so one of the biggest things, I'll mention this lastly, Kira, is draping. So you have to make sure your draping is impeccable and it's the safest possible. And so a lot of times a therapist will think that they're draping okay, but the massage therapist, right, is not really getting accurate feedback from the client on the table because they are in a power differential. You've got a clothed therapist over this person on the table, and they're probably not going to lift their head out of the cradle and say, can we stop for a second? Can you adjust that drape because I really don't feel safe? Right. Not many people are going to do that. What they're going to do is they're going to lay there the whole time and wonder, right, why the drape isn't protecting their modesty. And then at the end of the session, probably say, you know what, the massage was okay, but I just didn't feel comfortable on the table. I didn't feel protected. And that's a deal breaker. So part of a soothing massage for a therapist is making sure that all those little details are taken care of, and draping is a big one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I'm curious to hear what your suggestion is, and if you don't have it right now, we can send something in the follow-up email to folks, because a lot of the, as you were mentioning earlier, a lot of the continuing ed that we're all drawn to do is technique-based, but a lot of the skills that need continual development would be more in the realm of, I guess we'll call it ethics or communication. And so where would you direct folks who are already out in their careers and didn't really get that in their foundational experience? Where would they go to find that kind of training, like role playing or some kind of client interaction simulation so that you could do what your normal thing is and then get some feedback about how that actually sounds and what might work better or that kind of thing?
It's a great question. It's one that we've looked at Elements Massage. We really looked at the interpersonal development and the intrapersonal development. So it's developing the person, developing the relationships, excuse me, and then, seeking to offer a path for career advancement and development that doesn't just focus on technique. So we have something called the Elements Online University, which is, using education to really help not just with the technique again, but the soft skills. And of course, we're going to be rolling out something that's going to have advancement for our massage therapists to be an elite massage therapist, to charge more, to have a higher level of education, a master massage therapist. So that's really exciting. You can find a company that invests in you as a therapist. And then also, you can look at your professional associations, whether you're an AMTA or ABMP member, look at what resources they have and see what they've got to offer that isn't technique based. And then potentially at the next time you go looking for continuing education, you might say, I'm really going to invest in a communication course, a listening course. It doesn't have to be all techniques based. And your professional associations are offering a lot of continuing education right now, which would be another great place to look.
Okay, great. Thank you for sharing that. So is there something that you wanted to share with our listeners in regards to Elements in the hiring process?
Yeah, so Elements Massage Studios all over the country are currently hiring. You can go to Elements Massage /careers and look at where we have openings. You can type in your zip code and it will come right up. And, again, at Elements, we only do massage. We do personalized massage. And so we don't sell any retail products. We don't do facials in our studios. And I encourage all the students and even some of the graduates that are listening, come into one of our studios, check it out, talk to the owner, talk to the manager, talk to the people that work there, and just get a feel for it. If you can come in as a client, many owners and managers will actually extend a complimentary massage if someone's considering working in an Elements studio. But, one of the things I'd really encourage everyone to do is just find a place where you feel comfortable, where your mission aligns with the mission of the company, where it aligns with the work that you want to do in the world. And, at Elements Massage, we were founded by a massage therapist. She wanted to develop great massage therapists so that they could take care of the clients. And we're still true to that mission to this day. And it really informs a lot of the work that we do, making sure that we provide that safe environment every single day so that all of our clients and all of our employees feel like it's a place that they want to come every day and they can do the work that they want to do in the world underneath the Elements Massage banner.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Eric. This has been really informative and enlightening, and I'm really grateful to have spent this time with you, as are the listeners and viewers, I'm sure. And you have really, just touched so many lives over the years, both literatively and figuratively, as a therapist and as an educator. So we thank you for that. And we welcome you to give any kind of closing statement you'd like to give, and we'll wrap it up for tonight.
Yeah, well, first I want to thank you, Kira, for conducting the interview. I want to thank the people behind the scenes at Pacific College, Natalie and Miles, that helped put on the webinar here today. A lot goes into scheduling this. And I want to thank everyone out there for investing their time. I mean, your time is your most precious resource. So if anyone wants to reach out to me, I will also include my email address in the chat box. I'll make that available. I love when people reach out to me and ask questions. Usually I can get back to you pretty quickly. If you want to know anything about the work in the world that I do as an educator, you can go to the letter I, the word massage, inc.com, imassageinc.com. I do have a video that you can purchase on my website. I've got some stuff on YouTube that you can access for free. And if there's anything that I can do to help you out, I'd be really excited if I were just getting in the profession right now with all the challenges and everything you've had to go through. I hope that we can do this again when we're in a different place and look back and say, we learned some really valuable things and we were able to advance the profession in a meaningful way. So best of luck to everybody out there that's in school and getting ready to come into the profession.
All right. Thank you so much. It's a date. We'll see you in the future.
Thank you so much.